All right. So hello everybody. Good morning. It's super early here. I'm Sunnymuffin, and this is Biped. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. This game has 8 levels, and it goes by pretty quick. So I'll be talking about the game, and if you have any questions, feel free to post them in chat. We'll go ahead and get going here in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this is Biped. This is like a 3D physics-based puzzle game, where you have to run around as these little dudes completing these various puzzles. This first section here, this is the introduction level, and everything in this game is like super cycle based. So like what that means is all of these moving objects are like completely set once you enter the level. So like there are certain points where it doesn't really matter how fast I go because I can't make an earlier cycle anyway. So that first section is one of the more technical bits. There's a Chinese runner that really developed a lot of the IL strats for this game, and I'll be going for some of the IL strats. Some of them are like very inconsequential to get anyway. Like the first section there, I missed the IL strat, which is like super hard to get, but I have to wait on this cycle anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. You can get one cycle earlier than this, but it's super hard to do in a like full game setting. So the category that I'm running is any percent solo. So this game was designed basically as a co-op game to kind of show off this physics engine that this company built, and they had a solo campaign and a co-op campaign. The solo campaign is really, so this is a camera bug that you can get. It makes things really difficult. But the solo campaign is very similar to the co-op campaign, but a lot of the puzzles have to be adjusted for solo. And the solo campaign is actually quite a bit different as well, because a lot of the puzzles you just can't do with one little dude. The control in this game is also kind of weird. You're moving your character around with each of the individual joysticks. So it's kind of like QWOP in the fact that you control each leg like independently. So 146 on the first level, that's not too bad. Alright, so moving on to Dense Forest. This level has a lot of little skips, so I'm going to go for the first one right here. It allows you to just kind of skip this door trigger, as well as put you in position for after the next cutscene. So I basically have to take my leg and use it as it. Oh, okay. So I missed it there. You have to take your leg and kind of use it as a lever to kind of get over this little platform here. Okay, I'm going to give it one more try. It's really only worth it if you get it pretty quickly. Okay, didn't get it. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do this door trigger here. So this level introduces switches. Switches are something you have to like stand on with one leg and then operate with the other leg. This part of the game is pretty simplistic. Most of these things aren't terribly complicated. These little smiley face platforms right here, they fall after a short period of time. But I'm just going to be running around kind of manipulating these switches with my biped. A lot of things in this game are like shape-based, so like a lot of the puzzles, you'll see like triangles, you'll see squares, and yeah, this game it's pretty simple on the surface, but the speedrun of it actually gets quite complicated. So here's another skip. I'm supposed to be doing a puzzle here, but puzzles are slow, so we're just going to kind of use this little tiny ledge to inch my biped over to the other side and skip that puzzle. Yeah, so there's two types of movement in this game. You can walk by just like moving the individual sticks, and then you can slide by doing double stick. Sliding is the fastest form of movement in the game, but sometimes like there's a lot of weird things that you can get caught on. So like if you see me just like randomly stop when I'm sliding, that's me getting caught on something. So this is all cycle based here. I did not get the cycle that I wanted, but that's okay. This one isn't too much slower. There are a couple of skips here as well. They're just very difficult to do, and most of them are only seen in the IL. So like this right here, if I went around to the right hand side, you could skip it with like a weird physics based like hucking your biped. But it's pretty slow if you don't get it first try, and this is pretty comparable. So I do actually like kind of take an intentional death there to reset my position for this puzzle, because when you come into this cutscene, you can start moving during the cutscene, and that can actually be pretty bad because then you don't know where your biped is. Alright, so it's continuing right along. So there's a lot of like weird little auto-scroller sections in this game, like where you're on these like little rails, you're like grinding as a biped. This is just stuff that can't be skipped. You're just moving from one section of the level to the other. There's a skip in the next level where you do actually manage to get around one of those, but I'll show that off when we get there. So again, some more cycles. You just can't go faster here because you're limited by what the game is trying to force you to do. And that's level 2. Alright, moving on to Cactus Valley. This is one of the shorter levels in the game. It's been optimized quite a bit, and there's some strats that you can go for if you're doing just the IL that are like super scary, and if you miss them you lose like 30-40 seconds. So I won't be going for that one, but there's some other ones that I can go for that are very minor time savers that I'll show off when we get there. So you can see this level is kind of starting to show off the, I guess it's like a little rubbery surface where you have a little bit more traction and you can kind of move up a steeper slope. Yeah, this game, so it has a full co-op campaign as well that follows these same levels, and then it has like challenge levels depending on like what physics-based thing you're doing. So Cactus Valley is kind of showing off the seesaw mechanic of the game, and so you're going to see a lot of different like various seesaws in this level. So we got one coming up here. There's a little skip. Since this isn't co-op, I have to like wait for this dude to like help me out, but that's really slow. So I'm just going to kind of do this on my own by getting all the way on the right side and then quickly moving over to the left side there. We have another skip coming up here, so one of those little like grind side scroller sections. We can just kind of go around it here by bouncing off the balloon there. So this game's, it's pretty happy. All these balloons look pretty peachy. So another just auto-scroller section, can't really do much to speed this one up. Just optimizing when I get off so I can head to the next puzzle. This is the final puzzle of this level, and it's fairly difficult to do quickly. You can actually do this in like 3 steps of this little dude right here that's supposed to help you out, but it's really sketch, and you can waste like 30-40 seconds if you fall off here. So I just take this one really slow in an any percent run because I want to have some consistency. It's okay, don't worry, the dude still falls off. Little helper robot. And with that, we're done with Cactus Valley. So how's everybody doing this morning? Are we all doing pretty good? It is like 5 a.m. here, so it's pretty good. Pretty early morning gamer hours. Alright, Rainy Ruins. This level, like, between the solo campaign and the co-op campaign probably has the biggest differences. The main mechanic in this level is the, like, puzzle. It's a little weird to explain, so you'll see one coming up right here. Basically, you have to have the number of feet that are shown on the switch in order to open that switch. So, like, this one, it's 1 foot, so I need to stand on 1 foot. When you're with a friend, this little robot is basically replaced by your friend, so you can do a lot of these puzzles with 2 people. So it gets a little weird in the solo campaign because they have to have helper robots, And then these like little, they're not even robots, they're just like little things that have feet to count as for the feet component of these puzzles. So right here, this little thing right here, it just has 2 feet, and I have to manipulate it using the biped's foot here. So I gotta move this thing onto the switch, and then get on 3 feet. So now I have like 3 feet on this switch, and it's able to open. So sliding around. Sliding in this game, you can kind of slide over like really small gaps like that. So a lot of like the optimization of the movement here is making sure you have enough speed to get over the gap and then trying to slide over it. Sometimes the game just decides to say no and you're not able to get over it. Little time save right here, you can just kind of slide around this rock. There we go, and move on to the next section of the level. Things in this game like often don't happen the same way every single time. So one thing I'm trying to do here is line up the position, because this is like just a cutscene and this can spit you out either really, really fast, like you can get all the way to the end section of this like little area right here, or you can spit you out really slow like it did there and just kind of bonk you on some terrain there. So I try to set it up so I can get the little boost out of the cutscene, but it didn't happen there. Not a big deal, it's just a little optimization. The more of the feet puzzles. This one is a little bit jank. You can actually block the guy from falling over and have to completely reset the puzzle. It's really annoying when that happens. But this one I always take my time on because you can just lose so much time here if you mess it up. We have a major skip coming up. There's a very, very long feet puzzle right here that you have to use the 2 little dudes right there to kind of figure it out. But it turns out bipeds are really good at climbing, and you can just climb over this rock right here. This section, I gotta give this platform to this dude right here so he can take off. There is an IL strat that's like really, really crazy where you can balance your biped like on the edge of this platform so it doesn't count you as being on the platform. And you can save like 5 seconds with that, but it's pretty sketchy, and if you fall off you lose like 10-15 seconds. Alright, moving on to the last section of this level. We have this big 20 feet switch right here. So we have 18 feet accounted for right there between me and the little helper robots. And this pirate robot has this other dude captured over here. So we gotta go save him. So you're supposed to play like a little game with this pirate where he's gonna put his foot down on this platform. And you're supposed to like alternate, like when he has his foot down, you walk. When he doesn't have his foot down, you don't walk. But if you go fast enough, you just walk straight over. Not a big deal. Hit this final switch and we're gonna rescue our friend right here, and he's gonna walk super slowly toward this platform. You do have to wait for him, like, because if he falls to his death you have to reset it, and you can just kind of like wander around it, do nothing here, because as long as you only have 1 foot on the platform at any given time, you're good to go. So got our 20 feet, and that is done with the level. That was actually a really clean Rainy Ruins. Happy with that. Alright, we're moving on to what is probably the most technical level of the run. So this level is Snow Peak. It's introducing a couple of new mechanics here. We have a pretty major skip right at the start here. I hope I hit it. Where you have to kind of like, you have to get up on the little hill right there to the left of this switch, and then like kind of trick your leg onto getting up onto that little platform. That allows you to skip a little tutorial section. So this entire level is very, very cycle based. There's a big gear section about halfway through the level that it's on a really, really long cycle. It's like 20 seconds per cycle. So if I miss the fast cycle, I just have to sit around and wait for 20 seconds. You don't have to go like at a blistering pace through the first section of this level, but you have to be pretty quick about it. And again, missing that cycle just wastes a ton of time. So Snow Peak introduces the rope mechanic here. So you're able to like attach your biped to these little ropey sections and swing across. It's pretty cool. It's pretty abusable. There's a couple of sections later on in this level where you're able to get some like crazy momentum and skip some stuff. And I'll point out those sections as they come along. We also have our first little bumper here. This is a little like airbag thing that you just kind of bounce off of. These are also abusable, just not in this level. This level doesn't really have that cool of skips with them. But yeah, just kind of moving throughout this level. I have to be going pretty quick here or else I won't make the cycle. This one never lets you go for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it's okay. A little bit of off-screen movement there. Just kind of trucking along throughout this level. We got to move this orb here to go ahead and open this door and reveal the gears. So this section, I'm on a good cycle. Yeah, okay, so I gotta wait a second. Not the biggest deal in the world. Oh, okay, I fell in. I was on the good cycle. See if we can still make it. Alright, we still made it. No huge time loss here. Again, one of the more technical sections of this run. I was really fast on the first section, so I was a little bit early when I usually get to the gears. Another little skip right here. Alright, made it. That skips a puzzle up top where you're supposed to knock down an orb. This is the wind mechanic. So any good game has wind, and you have to ride it up to hit these bumpers. And this section is kind of a nightmare if you're on good pace for an IL, just because it's very inconsistent how your biped interacts with it. So this is another one of those little swingy sections. You can actually use this to skip the whole thing, but it's super, super tight and doesn't work half the time. So I just kind of take it a little bit slow there, and then we have a major skip coming up here. I'm going to give this one try, because setting it up takes a second. So basically I want to swing myself all the way to the top section up here. And I don't get it. Okay, unfortunate. That skip saves a ton of time, but getting a second try just like loses time. So we'll just take the slow route around here and use the wind and not waste too much time. And that's Snow Peak. Alright, we're moving into High Treetop. This is like one of the game's puzzle sections where they kind of ran out of ideas. This is like my least favorite level. It's very auto-scrollery where you're on timers that you have no control over, and it's just like you can either just take your time or you can take your time. There's no way to really go fast here. This is Woody with an eye. He's going to show us how to saw some timber. So up here we gotta use our leg to manipulate this timber. I can't go any faster on this section because I have to wait for Woody's tutorial to finish before it'll actually count me as sawing this timber. So you just gotta kind of hang out here and wait. There is a fast cycle that I can get here. It's very, very difficult to get, but I have to saw this timber pretty quickly, and that was pretty good. So now I gotta go and put this timber into a wood chipper, because that's naturally the first thing that you do when you cut some logs. So you go chip them up immediately. So this is the fast cycle. I don't hit it. Okay. Yeah, it's really, really hard to get there fast enough to catch one of those first three, but the second three aren't too much slower, and it's a little bit more consistent. So yeah, there's a lot of weird terrain that you can just get stuck on here. And then there's like, this level is just awful. It's so slow. And you gotta go counterclockwise on these switches, which is just really uncomfortable. But yeah, so you use your other stick to kind of rotate these around. They're like little screws that you have to unscrew to get up to the top of these platforms here and just kind of complete these puzzles. So this is a really pretty boring section of the run, unfortunately. And really it's just like all you can do to optimize these is getting the puzzles first try. Cutscenes in this game are also a little weird. So as a cutscene is playing out, you gain control of your biped a little bit faster than when the cutscene ends. So a lot of times you'll be seeing me do some off-screen movement to just kind of start getting headed to the next section as quickly as possible. So like right here, it doesn't matter how fast I go because I have to wait for this guy to saw this timber up here. And then I have to push it into the chipper. Easy peasy. And you'll see a little bit of that off-screen movement right here. So I'm like already moving my biped before that cutscene ends. And again, just more kind of hanging around, waiting on this auto-scroller, taking my time. Just kind of starting to move toward the next objective as soon as that puzzle's finished. Just saving a little bit of time there, trying to get every second you can out of this level. Alright, this is like the worst puzzle. This one you have to knock the wood twice, and sometimes it could just bounce completely off of the second platform. I don't know what causes it. Like it seems like I do the same timing every single time, and sometimes the outcome is different. I don't know why that is. Like it's all the way on the right hand side here, which is a little bit sketchy, and sometimes it could just get caught up on things. Like right there, that was fun. Alright. This puzzle is terrible. Again, just very inconsistent. Like sometimes you hit it exactly the same and it just does a different action. So like depending on if the wood is vertical or if it's horizontal, so like right here, it all comes in vertical. The bounce pattern is different than if it was horizontal, which is just really jank, but we're out of there. Not a big deal. Alright, and moving on just to the final auto-scroller bit of this level. So there's some more puzzle while you're on the like little grind section. You just have to manipulate your other leg to grab the wood and put it into the chipper. This is not the most interesting part of the speedrun. In general, this level is just really slow. Not a lot you can do to speed it up. Cool, and that's high Treetop. We only have 2 levels left. This run's going quickly. So I guess the lore of this game is you're these bipeds that got sent down to Earth, and you have to activate these 8 beacons for who knows why. I don't think the lore is ever really explained. But yeah, you just have to do these physics puzzles because you were told to do them. That's the best lore. So this is Blue Rapids. This is the longest level in the game. It's awful. You're on this little like floaty disc and you have to move it around like you're walking, but you can't move it too fast. So there's a little trick here. The number of arrows that you see on my little platform corresponds to the speed of the platform. So there's basically 3 speeds that you can be going at on these, and I always want to see 3 arrows. I'll know my cadence is a little bit off if I only see 2 arrows. So that's the way you can get the fastest movement here. Other than that, you just got to try to optimize pushing these dudes around. So the name of the game in this level is pushing the robots that got stuck on their little rafts here to safety. So that guy, that's my little tutorial helper dude. and I can push him into the dock a little bit faster just to kind of speed up his dialogue. Otherwise he talks for a little while there, but if I push him into the dock, he's like, okay, you mean business, let's get going. So yeah, there's a lot of robots in distress in this level. For some reason, they are just kind of hanging out on these platforms. I don't know how robots really deal with water, but for some reason, their platforms are like motorized and they break down a lot. And you can see that indicated by the black smoke. So you have to push these guys into the dock because they are incapable of doing it themselves. And in co-op, this level is like really aggravating because you're tethered to your partner the entire time. So here in solo, you get to push robots that are tethered instead of being tethered yourself. So it's a lot. I find this level way more fun in solo. So here we have the like current mechanic, I guess, where you're like moving over these waterfall sections and there's a current that wants to push you off of the waterfall. When you're just by yourself, you can just basically ignore it, but when you're pushing these other bipeds, you have to kind of take account into what's happening with the current. So these are the first two set that are tethered together, and you basically have to get in between the tether and just move them around. There's a fast strategy here that I'm going to go for, and we'll see if I get it. A lot of the physics in this game are very inconsistent, and sometimes you do the same thing and it just doesn't want to work. But I'm getting the fast strat here. Basically, you want to push these guys without getting all the way into the middle, and then kind of let the current move them to the south for you. So there we go, and we're just going to get around to the side of this guy and finish off this puzzle. These puzzles are actually really annoying because this rope is longer than the distance between these two docking points, and it can actually get in the way of these robots docking. So if you manage to spin them around too much and get the rope in the way, you cannot complete the puzzle because the rope is between the robot and the dock. It gets really irritating because at that point it's like super hard to actually get them out of the dock and be able to move them around. Alright, so we're moving on to the land section of this. So this is like one of the things that was shown in the trailer where you have like your biped moving around and you have to like get them over these little like hurdles that are just trying to push you off. It's pretty easy to do, not a big deal. Then we got some more shape puzzles because this game loves shapes. I know the like fastest way to get these into a line, so yeah, it's a speed run. We gotta go quick. Some more shape puzzles up here to kind of help me get across. I think at this point the developers just kind of ran out of ideas and decided to start throwing some more shapes in because there weren't enough shapes in this game. I have to wait here or else that switch won't move. If I go too fast with the circle there, like if it's not done with its movement, it won't take the input, and then it just gets really messy. So I gotta wait a second. Not the biggest deal in the world. And we're onto these nice swinging platforms now because this is obviously the best way to go. You gotta take the path of most resistance when you're a biped. Cool. And we're on to the second little raft section. You can actually glitch out right there and glitch through the raft and have to completely redo this section. It's really annoying, so I'm glad I didn't do it there. So we're grabbing these guys off of their little perch here. I do have to pay attention to the wake mechanic here, where so like right now there's no wake and I can go pretty quickly. This guy in the back is probably going to get caught up in the wake on the second cycle. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just need to do a backup here. So I have to swing this dude around now. And I'm really worried about this rope because it can just get completely out of whack here and get him stuck. So I'm going to go really wide on this in order to avoid that. Cool. That's one of the harder puzzles in this level. There's a couple of different ways of doing that depending on where you are in the current cycle. Since I had the current going when I first went in, I have to push them down and over instead of up and over. It's just like part of the game knowledge of this game is figuring out what to do on each cycle. Alright, moving on to the last puzzle of Blue Rapids. This puzzle, you can actually do it without even going down the waterfall, and that's what's done in the IL strat for this level, but it's really hard to do, really inconsistent. So I'm going to give it one try. Basically I have to bounce this guy off of the wall here. I didn't get it. and you are able to kind of move him around and get him to bounce off the wall and not have to go down the waterfall and then back up. But it's, again, really inconsistent, and it's super slow if you have to take more than one try to do it. So I'll just go ahead and do the puzzle the normal way and save my last 2 robot friends. Alright. And that's Blue Rapids. Just got a little bit more water section here to finish out. They really wanted to show off the water in this game. It's actually pretty cool being able to move around in this little raft. It controls better than your normal walking does, which is saying something. Alright, we're making pretty good pace here too. One of my favorite things about this game is how short it is. It's a pretty quick speed run. It's pretty easy to pick up if you're interested in running it. I really enjoy it. It's a nice little break from running other games that are a little bit more frustrating that I decide to tackle. Alright, Sunset Ridge. This is the last level, and as you can expect, it's the most difficult level. This level just kind of pulls a lot of the puzzle aspects that you had in previous levels into one level. And it also is, some of them are fairly difficult. I know casually this level took me quite a bit of time to actually finish. So this first section, we have more rubber little sections, and these platforms are missing pieces, so I just know where the best angle is on those and just kind of get it immediately and are able to skip right over. These things you can actually save quite a bit of time by releasing them early, but their speed is determined by how much you wind them up. So like if you only wind them halfway, they go really, really fast, and you have to like kind of launch yourself onto the middle platform, which is really inconsistent in any percent run, but the IL does it on every single one of them, and it's fairly hard to optimize and get a good time on. So this is a little floaty dude. He's hanging by a balloon. Sorry, can't help you. I got other things to do. This is the main mechanic for this level, where you're kind of using these switches to manipulate these platforms. This one is probably one of the harder ones because it's really inconsistent how your stuff bounces, but got it first try. Easy every time. Alright, so we got 3 skips coming up in pretty quick succession here. This is probably one of the more broken sections of the game. There is like a really crazy IL strat that you can do to kind of skip all of these little platforms, which is not used in this run because it's really hard. You basically have to like swirl one of your biped's legs around and use the momentum to launch yourself. But I don't do that here because it's really hard. So those are the first 2 skips right there. Just skipping those puzzles by bouncing off specific angles on those little bumper things right there. We do have to wind this platform up. The skip I'm talking about for skipping this whole section, you can kind of get on the edge of that platform there and spin your biped around in circles like that, and they do tend to move a little bit when you do that. And if you slip off while your leg is like whirling around really fast, you can get a lot of momentum and skip this whole section. But yeah, that's really not safe for any percent run. This section is actually really hard to skip. I'm gonna try it once more. Alright, cool, I got it. You basically have to use your leg to kind of leverage yourself up onto this center platform, and it skips an entire cycle on moving this little platform right here. We got the feet mechanic coming back in for 2 switches for no apparent reason. They just decided like, hey, you might have forgotten about this mechanic, so let's do it again. Alright, and this is like the single most frustrating puzzle in the entire game. This switch right here, like, sometimes it just decides not to move for no apparent reason, and sometimes it gets stuck. So I take it like really slow just to make sure that I can get it first try. So hopefully I don't bite myself in Hopefully I don't bite myself in the leg by saying I'm going to get a first try and then not get a first try. So in the co-op version, you actually can have your like friend build some bumpers for this little thing. So like it won't slide off the edges. But in solo, that's really slow because you have to like rescue some robots to do that. So I'm not going to do that. We'll just be really precise with my movements and get it off of the platform just by myself. All right, moving right along. The Sunset Ridge is actually going pretty well. So we got some puzzles here that you have to like get on a little roller thingy and roll it around so you can get a platform that you can cross. This first one I'm going to take an intentional death and fall off of because your respawn point is closer to where you need to cross. So like right here I just kind of throw myself off, respawn on the other side, and it's a little bit faster. The second one, you don't have that luxury, so I actually have to like pay attention to what I'm doing here. Alright, should be good. Easy peasy. And we're on to the last puzzle. This game goes by nice and quick. I really do enjoy it. Cool, so final puzzle here. Gotta get the ball all the way into the hole, and it's pretty hard to do quickly because these bumpers they're not always consistent in how they hit the ball. So you gotta kind of adapt to what patterns that you get with them. It can be pretty frustrating. Like right there, that was pretty awful. It bounced off the side of my little switch thingy, but not the biggest deal in the world. There we go, and this is a skip right here if I can get it. Nope, okay. I should probably talk about the skips after I get them instead of being confident. Alright, so yeah, you can just like rotate this around really quick and get it up top instead of having to move the white switch again. That saves a little bit of time. But yeah, that is the end of Sunset Ridge and the end of the run. So yeah, this is Biped. It's pretty cool. There's a pretty large speedrunning community for the co-op version of this game, but the solo community is pretty lacking. So if you're interested in speedrunning it, please go to the Discord and say hi. I actually find the solo run a lot of fun. There's a lot more skips in the solo run, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, that is time for that run. We got 36:51. That's not too bad. That's pretty quick. Yeah, and we are all done with Biped. So now you're stuck with me for another run. We're going to be moving on to Octopath Traveler.